What's your favorite fun memory from college? Doing really silly things, dressing up for midnight showing of Rocky Horror, going ice blocking, spontaneous camping trips, staying up until 4 a.m. with my group of close friends laughing our asses off about nothing important. One time, my friends and I got snowed in during a blizzard, and we turned the entire dorm lounge into a giant pillow fort. Spent the whole night playing board games and drinking hot chocolate. Best part was no classes the next day. First one that comes to mind, we hang at the bar till midnight, then go out into the snowstorm, and into a drunken snowball fight with about 100 people in the campus quad, and then at 1 a.m. we hit IHOP for coffee and nachos. Leaving. I went to Western Illinois University in the late 90s, early 2000s. I loved the school and everything about it, but when I graduated, I knew it was time for me to move on. When I left, I drove all through campus and took it all in. Had a big smile knowing I had done what I came to do, enjoyed the experience, and was ready for next chapter. It took me about 10 years until I was back on campus. Maybe not the idea of fun, but I smile thinking about it. Something happened with our power grid and our power went out for a full day across campus. This caused the university to cancel all classes at that campus for the day. The college's improv group spread a false story that a raccoon had run into our power grid, complete with a public funeral and song at a central campus location for said raccoon murder. I went with a few of my friends and don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. R.I.P. Sparky, thanks for making campus so darky. Probably leaving. Probably when I finished college and could finally leave. But not because I didn't have a good time or because of the people, cause I actually miss a lot of them. It rather was the moment when I celebrated with my parents and they were so proud of me. It was amazing. Nothing. I showed up, studied tough tests, got qualifications, and left. Actually, I had a lot of professors that were very interesting, so that was a nice experience. Did my college in prison. Nothing fun about it. Haha. Probably ingesting far too much weed while you could still easily access it in Amsterdam on a student trip. Being the caretaker for my friends, because I somehow had the best tolerance, made for a hilarious evening of 3 people trying to communicate through the haze and making less sense by the minute. Not yet, cause this year is going to be my first year, so I hope everything goes well. I remember watching Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time with friends while pretty tipsy. It was one of those nights that shaped what I like to do when hanging out. Just watching a good movie and talking about its meanings and contributions to the world at large. The sheer amount of people I met. I'm introverted. But even so, it was really easy to make friends just by going to class or having a job on campus. Now I'm in my mid-30s and it's a lot harder to make new friends, though thankfully I have more than enough. My favorite memory is going to a diner me and my girlfriends used to go to before cramming so much studying. They had the best food and I even managed to learn how to make the recipes from the owner. Because once we were graduating, we learned the place was closing, and so I made sure I learned the recipes so I can make them always. Watching Jerry Springer in the lounge. This was back when he first started the crazy shenanigans. It was so new that people thought it was real. Lol. TL Doctor. I was in a punk rock pep band my first year of college, was fully comped on a talent grant for music percussion vocal. The music director was overwhelmed with teaching music theory, music lit, directing the orchestra, directing the jazz band, and various private lessons. The basketball team was up his ass to start a pep band, but he had no time. Meanwhile, I started a really shitty punk band. The music director was curious, so we invited him for a practice session. He thought we sucked, but he found an opportunity and took it. He told us that we could freely use the school's drum kit instead of my piece of shit personal kit for any live show, as long as we agreed to play every basketball game. The coaches hated us. The refs really hated us. The opposing teams despised us. Our players loved us, and the students thought it was the tits. Attendance tripled. Concession sales went up. Kids started buying shirts and hoodies and hats with the school logo to show support. It became the popular thing to pregame on club nights by getting drunk, going to a basketball game and cheering on the team while making up chants to my band's various punk covers. This went on for many weeks before the season ended. Fun, none. Spending most time in the library studying stress ed with everyone else in my major. Seriously, only moment that I was happy in college is when one of my professor dropped dead, and we all got an A. As third-year students, were issued keys to the engineering lab building so we could do our lab work when it best suited us. I fell in a group of 5 or 6 students who preferred hours after 7 p.m. After a few of weeks we started to bring in a beer or two to sip on while doing our work. After another couple of weeks, we started bringing in warm beer and cooling it with liquid nitrogen -321F, -126C. About a month later, at the start of a lecture, the professor closed the door to the lecture hall and said, "Okay guys, I can overlook drinking beer on university property and I can even overlook beer cans in the waste baskets, but I cannot overlook our liquid nitrogen bill. If you are going to drink beer, bring it cold." With that he opened the door and started the lecture. We learned a great engineering principle that day: cost drives all engineering solutions.